I want to teach you how to understand white balance and lighting. I am Harrison Tito. What is white balance? White balance is the ability to make your camera to see white accurately as white, not as off-white. To teach you what white balance is and how to set your white balance right in your camera, I want you to understand that we are going to be teaching with two types of light. We are teaching with tungsten light, and daylight. What is tungsten light? Tungsten light is a light that emits yellowish film. It's hot and it's warm. So it's what? It's hot and it's warm. So not so hot though, but it can be extremely hot to the extent it can burn your hand. But let's take the word warm. Tungsten light is warm. Now, tungsten light has a yellowish film. It's the kind of bulb you easily see in your house or in shops. An example again of tungsten light is this very bulb. This very bulb that you are seeing is the bulb you find in Fresnel light. It is yellowish. That is why it's called a tungsten light. This other bulb is the bulb you find in halogen. It's yellowish. That is why it is called a tungsten bulb. Now, another type of tungsten bulb is a redhead bulb. It's so yellowish. Now you have a picture of what a tungsten bulb looks like. This is an example of a tungsten bulb. This is what it looks like. It's yellowish, and this yellowish feel is what makes tungsten what it is. It's yellowish in nature, and at the same time, it's so warm. Now, another kind of bulb we're talking about daylight is this bulb. People call it energy bulb. It actually just saves energy. It helps you to save your energy so you don't burn so much power in terms of putting it on. Now, this very bulb may be 55 watts, but it will give you 200 watts of brightness instead of this being 50 watts and it will give you 50 watts of brightness. Now, since it saves energy, so many people call it energy bulb, but it's actually called a CFL bulb. Now, that bulb is white. Now, this other bulb is white. Now, this is the kind of bulb you see in Kenoflow, and this bulb is what you can use to light up your set, and everything will look whitish simply because it has white element and because it's looking whitish. This bulb is called Kenoflow bulb. Now, it's whitish. That's daylight is whitish. It gives you the opportunity not to have yellowish and over reddish feel on your set. Now, if you are using two different lights to shoot, how are you going to get your white balance right? I'm going to get into that and teach you that. But before we understand white balance, I need you to understand that if you are shooting with daylight, that is this kind of bulb, and you expect your picture to be perfect, and you set your white balance on tungsten, you are going to have issues. If you set your white balance on daylight and you're using tungsten bulb, you're going to have issues. I'm going to tell you why. But before we go into all of this, I need to break everything down for you. Now, we know what daylight is. We know what tungsten light is. This is daylight. This is daylight. Even LED light works as daylight, so long as it doesn't have a colorful gel that can change it to tungsten. And this is tungsten bulb, any bulb that emits yellowish feel, that gives you yellowish feel on your set when you are shooting. Now, before we can understand white balance, we need to know that the easiest way to understand it is to understand the chart I'm going to make for you. Now, check this out. This is L. In this L shape, I'm going to take my first number to be 1000. If you ask me why I'm taking it as 1000, I will ask you, why did they start alphabet with letter A? Why not letter Z? Why not letter K? So now let's take this diagram. I'm starting with letter 1000. Let's assume it's 1000, and let's assume at this point we have 10,000 here. If we have 10,000 here, half of 10,000 is what? 5,000. If half of 10,000 is 5,000 and our chart here started from 1,000, I'll get back to this. Now, do you know that the computer understands only 0 and 1? That is binary number. That is what the computer understands. So even if you write your name as Ben, the computer may see B as 101001 and E as 00010001, then N as 111110. These are binary numbers. The computer does not understand what B is. The computer processes the information you put in and interprets it as B. But what the computer understands is 0 and 1, and those numbers are binary numbers. Now, I want to tell you something about counting. People used to use tally system of making people to count things in a way that it became a system of counting, like tally marks. Now, if I have one apple, I'll say 1. If I have 2 apples, I'll say another 1. If I have 3 apples, I'll say another 1. It was very easy to use that to count things, but surprisingly, this did not accurately represent all that people people wanted to understand because it was not very, very useful in the end. So now people started using the concept of base 10. The concept of base 10 is what we are still using today, where you have numbers from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, we have all these numbers. Remember, these are only numbers that we use to represent anything we are counting. Even when we are counting to billions, we keep repeating the numbers. That is position, rotation. Now, this is what I'm trying to make you understand. I want you to see this, that when we start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, if we want to continue to add more value, the next thing we do is we go to the right and add a value. When we add a value which is like 1, then the next thing we do is we start this same process all over again. We add 0. Then you go again, you add another 1, you see another 1 coming here. You add 1 again, you go another 2. That is how we count today. Now, what am I trying to say? When you are adding a new value, you are automatically putting another value like 1 to the right, and you put another number to the left to increase the number. The more you increase it, the more you add numbers. So you are repeating the same process of 0 to what? 9. Why am I taking you through this journey of understanding this? Because I don't want light to be a problem for you. I don't want white balance to be a problem for you. I want you to be a master of lighting and a master of setting your white balance. Now, check this out. Now, I just told you that we count from 0 to 9. Those are the numbers we use in base 10 system. So when you finish counting to 9, then you repeat the process by starting with the next number as 1 to the left, and you repeat the process of 0 to 9, then you are getting to the next value, and it increases like that. That is how we count. Now, base 10 is a good process, but what computer does not understand is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Computer only understands 1 and 0, binary numbers. So what the computer will do is this: a situation where you have 5,000. This 0 is the number of ones we have. That is just 1. So you put 10 raised to power 0. Then this other number, remember we're doing base 10. The next one is 10 raised to power 1. It simply means we have 10 of this inside this place. Then 100 of this inside this. Then thousands of this inside this. What that simply means is this, that even in 5,000, everything is still represented as 0 and 1. Even when you say 5,099, everything is still understood by the computer as 0 and 1. A clear example again: if your number is 5436, that's 5,436. This 6 is the number of 1 in it. So the right number that the computer will understand with it as 1. Then this other 3 as 36. The number of 10 we have there, remember, 10, 10, 10, that's 3. That's why you're having 36. So the number is what? Number of 10s we have is what we have here. Number of 10s that we have there. Then the number of hundreds we have here is 4. That's 400. 100, 100, 100, 100. That's 400. So now we have this number of hundreds here. Then the number of thousands we have is 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. So the number of thousands that we have here is what gave us that 5,000. So everything is still 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. That is the process. Now, knowing that the computer understands only binary numbers, zeros and ones, you have to understand that the computer is computerized. And the camera you are using is computerized. Knowing that the camera is computerized, so if you want the camera to understand you very well, you must speak the language that the camera understands. And the camera understands zeros and one that can be represented in tens, in hundreds, in thousands. So what that simply means is I'm going to be using numbers to explain how to set white balance right. That is just all I've been trying to explain to you. So you don't ask, why is he using numbers? I'm using numbers to explain what white balance is, simply because everything that the computer understands is 0 and 1. And the camera is computerized. So knowing that it understands zeros and ones, so even when we are talking about 5,600, 5,500, we're indirectly saying the number of 1, the number of zeros, of 10, the number of hundreds, and the number of 1,000. So everything is still 0 and 1. So that will bring us back to how I will explain this graph. Now, you need to understand that between 1,000 and 3,600, our light is yellowish. That's this yellowish field. Okay? Our light is yellowish. Knowing that our light is yellowish, that means from 1,000 to this 6,000, you have a yellowish field. You may have element of red, element of orange before it goes into pure yellow. Why? If you light a matchstick, check the fire. It's reddish at the top of the matchstick, but the fire becomes yellowish. So the red starts it goes into orange feel and becoming like yellowish at the point where it's approaching 3600. But at 3600 is not yellowish. That's the yellowish feel you feel and you see when you put on a tungsten light. Now, it fades from here and start fading out to the point where it starts having elements of blue. And at the point when it's 5000, it becomes bluish. But the pure blue you will get is at 5500 because blue is fully introduced at 5000, but at 5500 the bluish feel becomes so pronounced and becomes pure blue. Why am I talking about this? From yellow to blue. Yellow is tungsten, blue is daylight in terms of white. Now I want to tell you this. If you cook with your stove, you will cook slower than when you are cooking with gas. The gas cooks faster simply because the gas temperature is higher than that of stove. Remember they taught us in geography that the higher you go, the cooler what it becomes. Light becomes either warm or cold. Now that is temperature that is coming into play, and temperature is measured in what? In kelvins. That is why they will say this light is 2K light. Like this is a 2K bulb. It's called 2K because it has gotten to 1000 and it has exceeded 1000. It's now 2000 watts. Instead of just saying 2000 watts, it's now 2K. That means the temperature emitting from this bulb is 2000 watts, and that is why they call it 2K bulb. The light that you put on is either cool or warm, and that is temperature, and temperature is measured in kelvins, and the degrees of kelvins are the things we have here. 1000, 3600, 5000, 10,000. I already told you that at the point of 1000, it's yellowish. An example of it is if you put on your matchstick, the light itself will create a reddish feel and the yellow will spring up. Boom. Inside, you may see traces of orange. All those things are the things you see between 1000 and 3600. That will be the characteristics of tungsten lights. Then from that point, as you are going up, the yellow starts fading out, blue starts coming in. When blue gets introduced into it, at 5500 you have blue. But at 5500, that is where you have pure blue. When blue got introduced at 5000. So what that simply means is as the temperature increased, the bulb got cooler. Tungsten bulbs are very hot, like this bulb in your house. When you touch it after putting it on for 5 minutes, you will quickly remove your hand simply because it's so hot. That is because you find heat and warmness around 1000 and 3600. When blue comes in at 5000 and becomes pure at 5500, like pure blue, it becomes cool because in geography they taught us in school that the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. Have you asked yourself why Jos is so cool and so cold? Now, imagine this is the map of Nigeria. Okay, if this is the map of Nigeria, where do you think Jos is? Do you think Jos is here, or Jos is here or this way? Jos is around this way. If Jos is around this way, and knowing that Jos is a city in the middle belt of Nigeria, do you know what that means? If this is the map of Nigeria, if I pick up this middle part and raise it up, being a city in the middle belt of Nigeria, if I pick up the middle and lift it up, like imagine if I spread Nigerian map out like this. If I spread out like this and this on the floor like this, and I pick the middle where I feel Jos is, and I take it up and it becomes a mountain, do you know what's going to happen? I'm going to have this. If I have this, if Jos is here, Lagos is here because this is the base of the mountain. That is why Lagos, you have water around Lagos. That's why you have ocean, you have lagoons around Lagos, because Lagos is at the base of this mountain we call Nigeria. So what that means is the higher you go from this point, the cooler it becomes. They taught us that in geography way back. So if Jos gets cooler because the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. That I've been able to prove to you that in Nigerian map as a mountain, you are going up to approach Jos. And the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. Now, the higher you go here, the cooler it becomes at this point. The temperature of gas that you use in cooking is higher than the temperature of stove. That is why the gas cooks faster than stove, because the temperature has increased, but the color of gas is blue. So when the fire starts, it starts with reddish, yellowish, and it's going up. When it becomes so high, the temperature becomes bluish. And that is the point where it cooks faster. But that is the point where you say, oh, gas does not create so much heat inside the room, unlike stove when you are cooking. We learned that when we were in school, in boarding house and all of that. Now, the point I'm trying to make you see is the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. I had to give those examples so you can relate with them to understand. Now, the color of coldness and anything cool is blue. That is why when you look at your freezer, the sign of flakes that you see, snowflakes that you see, I don't know if I'm getting this design right, is always bluish, it's not reddish. It's always what? Bluish. So when you see that sign of your freezer, they're already telling you that this thing is cool. So the coolness of that light, of coldness, is represented as a color called blue. That is why blue gets introduced at the point of 5,000, because it's becoming so cool because the temperature is now very high. It's the opposite of what you know in terms of body temperature. When your temperature is high, your body is hot. It's the direct opposite. Now, at this point, what that simply means is, if this is cool, it means this is the point where blue light has been introduced, in terms where light that is whitish has been introduced. And this is what this light will do for you. And this other light, not tungsten light. This is incandescent bulb under tungsten light. What that simply means is, this is where you have daylight. Remember, when you look at the sun, you see bluish feel in the sky, and at the same time, you see whitish feel in the sky. Remember I said the white color of the bulb and the temperature that is being understood as that coolness in terms of being cool is blue. That's why you see blue and white in the sky. This means this is the point where you see daylight at 5,500. At the point where it's still yellowish like this. Okay, let me put it on my face. See, so harsh, so hot. At the point where you see this, it simply means this kind of incandescent bulb that is yellowish is at the point where you have it as 3,600. Now that you know this, all these numbers in the camera, you have to use them to represent the kind of light you are using. If you are using this bulb, if you are using this other bulb, any whitish bulb, please and please set it on 5,500, because you are not making the camera to see white as white. You are not helping the camera to think. So when you have a camera and you want to set it on auto white balance, it is wrong, because auto white balance cannot give you the accurate look of your picture. And if you want to get the accurate look of your picture, please set it on manual setting. Set it on 5,500. Use your custom setting. 5,500 if you are using daylight or LED light that is whitish. 5,500 is the perfect setting for your white balance. If you are using any light that is yellowish, whether you are using redhead, you are using tungsten, or you are using maybe even Fresnel lights, if you are using a incandescent bulb, please and please, if you are even using candle lights, please make sure you use 3,600 on your setting. This you are seeing that is tungsten is 15 million candle power. So this is like candle lights and 15 million candles. That is what this light is giving me. Okay, so once your light is yellowish, put it on 3,600 and you get the right white balance on your DSLR. If your light is LED light, like this LED or CFL bulb or Kenoflow, please put it on 5,500. Automatically you are saying, oh, this light is cool. Please represent this light as something cool for me so that I get the right white balance. This is just a quick class for you to just learn something very fast within the shortest time. If you were in my film school, I can teach you more and make you see more, and you run practicals and you understand all of this even less than 3 hours, and you can learn more and become better. But in summary, I want you to understand that daylight is represented as 5,500. Between 5,500 and 5,006, I usually use 5,500. Then tungsten light, sometimes you may want to start from 2,500, but the accurate ratio that I use, that I believe in, that I know so many professionals are using, is what you call 3,600 degrees. That's in kelvins, in measuring the temperature, knowing that that light is warm. So if you are using redhead light, if you are using 2K light, that's 2K blunt. If you are using any tungsten bulb, if you are using candle light, you are using any halogen bulb, please set your white balance on custom, put it on 3,600. If you are using LED light that is whitish, if you are using Kenoflow that is whitish, not the one that has little color that will become tungsten, if you are using that whitish one and you are using energy bulb, that's CFL bulb, to shoot anything, be it LED, please and please ensure that you set it on 5,500. That way you have a perfect white balance. Automatically you've succeeded in telling the camera, think like me. See white as pure white, just the way white is. See white accurately. Don't be seeing white as off-white. Okay? That is just what I have succeeded in teaching you. Now, I told you I'm going to tell you what you're going to do when you have multiple lights. Like you have a tungsten light, you have maybe LED light, you have Kano flow, you have CFL bulb. That means all these bulbs, all of them are working together on the subject. Do you know what you're going to do? So what white balance are you going to set your picture on? So now you need to check this thing. I have to close my eyes because this thing is very harsh. Now what you need to ask yourself is, which light is more dominant? Is it this LED light that is on me from this point, from my left, or this tungsten? If the tungsten is the key light and is harder on me, that means it's stronger on me, the major light. When I say key light, if it's harder on me, what that simply means is you should set your white balance on what will favor the tungsten light, because it's stronger and harder on you. So I will set my white balance on 3,600. But if the tungsten light is just very small, like this incandescent bulb, just small like this, and the key light, that's the major light, the major brightness that is coming from the other light, is daylight, like I'm getting from this LED and the CFL bulb at the other side, you know what I'm going to do? I will set it on 5,500. If you don't set your white balance right, you're going to have a bad picture. And the way to know that your white balance is not right is your picture is not the way you are seeing it with your naked eyes, unless you have Apollo. If you don't have Apollo and you're not wearing a sunshade and you are shooting, your picture on the screen is not looking like what your naked eye is seeing. There's something wrong with your white balance. Go and set it right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want more. Click notification button so you'll be the first to see what we are posting. And please follow us on Instagram at HTPTV because we have lots of good things coming. Thanks for watching.